Are you sick of living in the shadow of someone else? Need some help learning to love yourself and tap into your unique strengths, or embrace your leadership potential so you can thrive in your life? This is Empower with Nancy. Let's start the show.
Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining me again in another beautiful episode that I'm super excited to have you listen to. I want to talk to you about something that I constantly see happening in organizations everywhere: the disconnect between employee voice and actual influence. You know what I'm talking about, right? You've been there, I'm sure you have, and you share all these great ideas in a company meeting, or maybe there was a company-wide survey that went out and you had all these great ideas. You got super excited. Leadership was really excited to have you be part of the input of suggestions. And then you're excited that leadership was excited that they're actually listening to your suggestions. And then weeks pass and nothing changes. Their survey results get shared with management executives, but the issue arises and it definitely, again, was unaddressed. Nothing got resolved. Or perhaps you've mustered the courage to actually speak up in a meeting and nothing happened. People are like agreeing with your changes or concerns, and the management says, great point. But 3 months later, you're still dealing with the same inefficiency. Even worse is watching your organization implement more changes that directly affect your workflow and not even consulting you about it. Because why? You're the one that knows the day-to-day realities. This cycle is definitely not motivating. It makes you question whether speaking up even is worth the effort. Why even bother? I don't matter in this company. It becomes this silent mantra that we are constantly thinking. The end result, it doesn't matter. I don't have a seat at the table. And when you feel that you have been heard, they tell you in a meeting, like, great point. You know what? Great suggestion. And nothing still happens. And this is what I'm going to talk about in our episode today. It's going to be very key points on how to resolve this. And did you know that research, according to 2023 Gallup study, only 21% of employees strongly believe their opinions matter at work? That is absolutely terrible. It's unacceptable. Yet those who do feel heard is only 4.6 times more likely to feel empowered to perform their best work. Now, these are just statistics. These are not made up by Nancy. So the gap between heard and having influence isn't just frustrating, it's costing the organization dearly in lost productivity, losing great talent. The retention in the organization starts to dissipate. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way, and it shouldn't be. The distance between employee voice and meaningful influence can be the bridge. I've seen this happen in organizations in all sizes, small, medium, or large. And today I want to share with you how the transformation can really take place and make a difference. First, we need to really recognize that the true influence requires more than just providing feedback, right? Sometimes you're tired of hearing, let me just give you your feedback. Let me give you feedback. And then you're in meetings and after meetings and after meetings and nothing happens. So it requires what I call a complete feedback loop with 3 essential components to this. And number 1 is meaningful input opportunities. Number 2 is being transparent with follow through. And number 3 is shared decision-making authority. Like, the first one is really, it needs to be meaningful, providing the input. therefore providing opportunity. And being transparent with whatever you say you're going to do, you do. And then sharing the decision making authority, like just sharing that decision making with authority and confidence is huge. So let's break it down this way. Meaningful input means going beyond the company wide survey, okay, that has been put out. I was always a big component of, I was a big believer of surveys, internal and external. Surveys with your coworkers to see how we all get along, see if there's any patterns of concern, good, bad, or ugly, as well as to your clients, your borrowers, whoever it is on the outside that you're serving. So I worked with a company that really replaced their annual survey with quarterly. And so it was more of like a solution session, small cross functional groups. And what you do is you get these groups together and you tackle the solution and making sure that is completely managed. Who is managing all of the tasks and great ideas or changes? Who is following up? Are you assigning and not following up? The difference is employees weren't just identifying problems here, guys. They were actively contributing to solutions where they felt empowered. The transparent follow through is where many organizations drop the ball. So every piece of feedback should be acknowledged, even if you can't implement it. Okay, like provide that knowledge. Think about it. It doesn't mean that when employees bring up these great ideas and solutions, doesn't mean you have to take them all and implement. You've got to really talk it through as a group. Usually it's first management and then a group, and find out what the best solution is for the employees, the organization, the customers, the clients. Shared decision authority means giving employees actual voting power on decisions that affect their work. That is key. I can't tell you how many times where we are all reactionary and making all these changes, and you don't even ask the staff that is in it day to day. This doesn't mean that every decision becomes the right decision or you have to implement it, like I said earlier. But it does mean identifying areas where employees can have genuine decision rights. They have the right to bring up what works and what doesn't with suggestions and ideas, solutions. It motivates their confidence within themselves. It motivates them overall in their position. This affects you mentally, physically, and emotionally. And that is what we don't see here in organizations, that management really, how does it affect that person on a personal level? So, how can you start bridging the gap in your organization? Begin by auditing your current feedback, okay, from your team. Are they designed to collect meaningful input, or are they designed just to check boxes off? Are you asking the right questions? And are you reaching the right people to ask the right questions, right? Or even get the right answers? Next, it's so important to have the transparency in your follow up process. Establish clear timelines for responding to feedback and be really honest about what is the reality, what's feasible, and what's not. I love to use in any type of suggestions of change, and it is called really the SWOT. It's the SWOT analysis: your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What is it on the personal level as an employee? What is it within their position? And what is it overall within an organization? And even a SWOT with leadership. And most importantly, measure the impact. Track not just participation, You want to track the feedback. How many employee ideas actually turn into action? That's the matrix that matters. So the path from voice to vote isn't always straightforward. And I forgot to even mention at the beginning of my podcast. So what is this podcast about? It's voice and vote. It's voice and vote within an employee's input that creates real influence. So with the path from voice to vote isn't always straightforward, like I mentioned. It requires commitment from leadership and definitely patience from employees. But when organizations get it right, the results are transformative. The engagement soars, the innovation accelerates, the retention improves, not to mention employees feel motivated and they look forward to going to work. And remember, meaningful influence isn't about implementing every suggestion. It's about creating systems where good ideas can surface and it really be fair. So whether you're like a supervisor or a leader, an employee seeking for greater influence for yourself, I want you to start asking, how can we turn voices into votes in our organization? The answer to that question could transform your workplace. Doesn't matter what position you hold. Thanks again for listening today. And I would love to hear your experience with gaining real influence in your organization. How did you feel? Did you feel like you had a seat at the table? Did you feel motivated? Did you feel heard? Did you have just phenomenal idea that your organization really implemented and it worked? Isn't that amazing? Until next time, I really want you to keep speaking up and working toward the day when your voice translates into real impact. Don't ever give up. Don't ever feel that you're not heard. Remember, you have control of the will and you have all the tools in your toolbox. You just have to start using them. With gratitude, Nancy.
Thank you for listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a rating and review, and share it with a friend. To connect with me and get all the behind the scenes content, you can follow me on Instagram at EmpowerWithNancy and visit my website, empowerwithnancy.com, to learn more about how coaching with me can significantly enhance your life and business. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day. See you next time.